to talk about Acronis Cyber Protect Cloud and its protection of Microsoft Entra ID. I'll walk you through the video and pause at various points to give you some additional details. We start off in the Cyber Protect Cloud console, and what we're going to do is go into Devices, and we're going to add a new SaaS application. So you can see we click Add, we scroll down to the Cloud Applications, and we choose the new Microsoft Entra ID. And alongside that, you've got all the things you would normally have in here, Microsoft 365, Google Workspace, and so on. But we'll choose the new ID. And then you go into here, and then you've got standard credentials, just like you do with Microsoft and Google. You choose the admin user you want, provide the password, and so on. In this case, this one's already signed in for the MOD administrator. And then on the next screen, you would get effectively a list of permissions. So this is, again, the same sort of thing you get with 365. So our backup application needs permissions. In this case, with Entra, there's quite a lot because there's a lot of data in there. But once you've seen all the permissions, you then scroll down and accept that. And it then effectively contacts Microsoft, installs that application, and then starts to do the initial sync to pull back all of the data. And then after some time, you'll see a new entry in Devices. You can see Microsoft Entra ID in there. We don't have Microsoft 365 in this case, but all the other devices would appear in there as normal. And you can see it's dropped you immediately into the protection plan to reduce the number of clicks you have for that. And this is the new view where you have your actions here, or tabs effectively, rather than actions on the right. And you can see that here's a new plan. It looks similar to what we have with other cloud applications. You can name it. Most of the rest of these are fixed to keep it very simple and quick. You can only back up Entra ID in this case, because that's what this organization is. It'll fix it to all objects. We don't let people pick and choose what they want to back up. And it goes to cloud storage only, and the schedule is once a day. You can change the retention period if you want indefinite. It's the normal one because the data is fairly small, but you can also change it to the other standard settings. And by default, we recommend that you pick a password for that, because obviously there's a lot of personal identifiable information in there. So we'll just let that roll on. You can see we typed in the password, confirmed it, and then come back to here. And effectively, once that's ready, and you can rename the plan if you want, once you create that, then you'll have the ability to run it. So what we'll do here is we'll execute this. This will be scheduled to run once a day, but you can run it immediately, as we've done here for this demo. And when this runs, the first time it takes quite a while. Effectively, it's the onboarding phase, because there are quite a lot of log data, or there can be a lot of log data, because Microsoft will hold that for 30 days. So you've got a month's worth of audit logs and sign-in logs and things like that. So the first one takes a while, and then after that, you've got effectively incremental backups for logs. Backup succeeded. You can see the status message there. So now we're going to switch to the Microsoft console, and we're going to make some changes in here. In this case, inside users, but you could make changes for any of the objects that we support. So we're going to delete a user and then make some attribute changes to another user. So Adele gets soft deleted. Then we go into Alex, and what we're going to do is effectively mess a bit with his name and with his phone number, and also mail nickname, and then save that. Do a refresh, and you can see those changes have been applied. So come back into our console. We switch to the Recover tab. You can see here there's a single backup. Obviously, this runs daily, so after a while there'll be multiple backups in here. And then we're going to click on this Recover button, and what that does essentially drops you into like a browse dialog, similar to what we have with SharePoint Online, where you can pick and choose folders. In this case, you'll be able to see and choose what to do with various different objects inside Entra. Recover, I've got the password obviously for the archive. So in this view, when you come inside to browse, you've got your choice of backups. Currently there's only one. All the others would be in here. So this is the one you wanted, but you can of course flip to other backups if you want. There's all the objects we support. There's about 18 in the first phase, so users and groups and conditional access policies, in-tune data, all of that stuff. And then you can do a number of different actions with that. So you can look at changes with this show versions thing. You can compare, which we'll see in this demo. You can download the data to a CSV file if you want to view that offline. Mostly that's useful for audit logs and sign-in logs if you're doing some sort of audit or security check. And then you can recover data at this level, so recover the entire organization by clicking this. You can choose some different objects if you only want to do users and groups, for example. But the example we've got today is inside users, so that's what we're showing here. So go down to users, and now we're going to do a comparison. So essentially, you've got some choices there. So in this case, this is your organization, and then you can see which objects you've selected. We picked users, you can see, so you can choose them in the previous stage. Picking, if you change your mind, you could go in and say, oh no, I want to compare some more things as well. But in this case, it's only users. And you've also got a choice about what you compare with. So the most normal situation is where you go back to where you know you've got good data and you want to compare with live what you've got now. But you could also might want to see what happened 6 months ago versus 3 months ago on a particular date that's of interest to you. So you could compare with another backup if you want. Here we're just doing it with the backup we've done just against the live data. We could compare, and then it drops you into an activity immediately, so you can see what the status of that is. It can take a while if you're doing a lot of objects. In this case, it's just users, so it's fairly quick, although there are still a lot of properties, even just for users. As you can see there, we've clicked comparison results, and then it'll take you to a new view, which is this. So you can see here that we've got some differences, and you'll see in a moment we'll use this switch to help filter things out. But essentially, it shows you the full context by default. It highlights differences with this yellow highlight. But if you have a lot of rows and you only really care about the differences, you can click that and it will shrink that down. So you can see that Adele has a lot of change attributes because she was deleted, and then Alex Wilbur just has a few number of changes, a small number. Going to Adele. Click that filter so you can focus in on it. Go back to users, click into Alex. Again, focus in on the changes. And you can see here is all the things that we mess with in the Microsoft console. So if you go back to there and select those two objects and then click the recover button, then essentially it will force those back. So here we've got standard options where you can overwrite, skip, or merge depending on what the data is. In this case, we just want to make sure that what I've got in my backup is good. I just want to push that over the top of what's in Microsoft Entra ID. You can also optionally choose to not do this in general. This makes sense because if you're returning users, it will also establish links with groups and other links it has to other objects. So by default, that's enabled, but you can turn it off if all you want to do is a quick attribute update. So click recover. And then you give it a pop-up message there to say that's happening. And then we've gone back into Microsoft Entra ID console and we'll do a refresh and we'll check to see what's happened with those two objects. You can see here Dell's come back, and if I go into Alex, and you can see that the properties, these are all the things that we changed. And that's it. Thank you.